Radio Grand Lac.
Vos émissions préférées sont toutes sur Radio Grand Lac.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Welcome to Your English Weekly. This is Klaus, who is substituting for Sinead. C'est encore Klaus qui fait le remplacement de Sinead. À cette émission hebdomadaire, les mardis vers 12h05 pour une vingtaine de minutes, en anglais, pour un niveau à peu près B1, à qui ça parle, c'est intermédiaire. Your English Weekly, vous pouvez nous retrouver aussi sur la chaîne YouTube de Radio Grand Lac quelques jours après l'émission pour l'enregistrement de l'émission, ainsi que sur notre site yourlanguageworkshop.com et on a plein d'animations et de cours d'anglais aussi à Your Language Workshop. Je vais passer à l'anglais. So today I have a guest with me that I already was hoping to have last week because I spoke with a friend of yours, Xavier. Hello.
Hello.
I am glad to have you here today. Last week, Philippe Audillon talked to us about a bike trip that he took with you in Japan. And so I was hoping that you would come this week to talk to us about one of your passions, which is perhaps not bicycling. It's any passion you want to talk about. And so I am very curious to see what passion you want to talk to us about. What passion have you chosen?
Today, what passion I've chosen? I've chosen gardening. I really like gardening. For a very, very long time, I like to have the hands in the earth.
Yes, it's very it's very good for our mood, for how we feel. I don't get around to gardening a lot, but when I do it, I feel very good. I think it re-energizes us somehow. Do you also feel that way, or what do you like about gardening?
Oh, gardening for me is very, very nice because I'm outside, I'm in my garden. It's changing every week. I'm looking for the weather, for the sun, for the rain. I hope for rain.
Yes. And, when it's too dry, you hope for rain. When it rains too much, you probably hope for...
Yes, and I am always looking for the broadcast to know what will be the weather in 1, 2, or 3 days.
Yes, the weather forecast. Yes, a broadcast, which is also a forecast. Yes, so you appreciate how your garden changes every week, every day. And I think one of the big secrets to successful gardening, and I have seen your garden, your vegetable patch and all that, and you have a very beautiful vegetable patch and garden, is being there on a regular basis, basically every day. Would you agree on that? That a secret to succeeding in garden work is being there all the time, basically.
Secrets, you need time. You need to be in your garden very, very often and to work inside for a long time, because there is no secret. If you are not in your garden, difficult to have a beautiful one.
The secret is that there is no secret. You just have to be present. I like that.
Perhaps, and perhaps one secret I discovered along the years. You have to food your earth. You have to give food for all your garden and the earth. And really, I see it could be really better if I do what is necessary to feed.
Yes, to feed or to nourish your earth, to enrich your soil.
Yes,
soil, earth. Yes. So you notice the difference along the years. You've enriched your soil in your garden. How do you go about doing that? How do you nourish? How do you?
I do compost.
Yeah,
in the world.
Yes, you compost. Yes,
you
can use it as a verb as well.
Yes, and I go very often to the horse club.
To the golf club? No, to the horse. Yes, the equestrian center, the horse center. Yes, I see.
Horse center.
Yes, yes.
I go to the horse center to have a fumier.
Yes, horse manure. It's a different manure. manure, manure.
Manure.
Yes,
and it's very very good nourishment for the soil.
Okay. Specifically horse manure, or could it also be sheep or goat or cow droppings?
Horse manure is more sweet.
Okay, what do you mean sweet? I don't
sweet,
think
it's not very strong.
Okay, it's mild. It's mild.
Mild.
Yes, because sweet would be more like a sugary taste, and I don't think you taste it.
In French, we would say c'est doux.
Yes, mild. Mild. Yes.
Because cow manure is very hard or strong.
Yes, strong, and
strong.
It's horse manure is nice and dry, so you can handle it more easily than cow dung. Dung is the booze, as they say in Swiss. In Swiss French, they say booze. And anyway, this is in English.
So I compost.
Yes.
For in my garden, and I have a lot of compost to put in my garden, my greenhouse, and so on.
So it's also your kitchen waste that you use.
Yes.
So you you let the horse manure and the kitchen waste decompose for maybe 2 years, 1 or 2 years.
1 year is enough.
1 year is enough. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And also trees leaves.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of trees leaves.
Dry leaves, yes.
And what else?
You put that in your compost?
Yes.
And you mix it all together, the horse manure and the kitchen waste?
Separately, and after I
put them together, you mix them?
I mix them, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also when I cut the grass at the same way, I put it
aside,
and after 2, 3, 4 months, I mix all.
Oh, you mix it together. Okay. Yes, when you mow the lawn, you can also say for cutting the grass, but cutting the grass, of course, is understandable. Okay, and when do you introduce your compost into the soil? At what moment? When you plant, when you sow the seeds, like when you take the little grains, the little seeds, and you sow them. To sow is semer. Is that when you put the compost into the soil?
Yes, it depends. In the greenhouse, I put compost at autumn, at fall.
Mm-hmm. In the fall,
because I want the soil is vivant, lively,
alive,
okay. Alive for the winter. And so I feed the soil at this moment with a lot of water, and I hope to have a lot of earthworms.
Yes,
in my greenhouse. Outside, I prefer to put the compost when seeding.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
because it's a good moment to.
Yes, when you sow the seeds.
Yes,
okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you put them not only on the surface but also in the ground.
Yes.
Okay.
When
you turn
it planting, I mix the soil and the compost, and I put seeds or little plants in this mix.
Okay, let's just explain to the listeners, because you're quite an expert on gardening, and perhaps not all our Savoyard listeners know what a greenhouse is. Can we just define greenhouse? It's a glass house where you have your plants grow when it's not so warm. It's often made of plastic, but your greenhouse is actually a real glass greenhouse, isn't it?
Not all. The roof is glassed. I have very big
panes
of
Panes is in vitre, yeah.
Panes,
big
glass panes.
Okay, why only on the roof?
Why only on the roof
and not on the sides? Because it's fragile.
Because on the roof it's very strong for la grêle.
Oh, okay, the hail.
The hail.
For hail. Sorry, just no the for hail.
It's a glass with iron inside, with a little net of iron inside.
Okay, it's reinforced glass.
Reinforced, yes.
Oh my. Okay, because plastic can break due to hail when it's on the roof.
I think it could be a
problem,
more fragile.
Okay, interesting. All right, I thought that glass would be more fragile than plastic. I've noticed that plastic is very fragile depending on the plastic, but often plastic gets very brittle, friable, when it's cold.
Yes, and not very beautiful.
Yes, exactly. I love real glass greenhouses.
Yes,
yeah.
But on the walls of my greenhouse, I put plastic because of when working with outils.
Yes, tools.
With tools, when working with my tools, often you
knock, you hit,
yes.
you hit the.
You could hit, and with the machine à tondre,
the lawnmower.
The lawnmower
from the outside. Yes.
I could hit it, and I want to change the glass every year.
Yeah, you'd have to do that. Yes, it's very expensive actually too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you want to speak about more specifically or more essentially in this passion, this gardening passion you have? By the way, it's a very typical English passion.
Yes.
Yes, I love the English radio shows called Gardener's Time. It's a beautiful and long-standing tradition on BBC4. The English love the gardening like the French love food, is what I like saying.
Perhaps it is my English side.
Yeah, English Gardening Time. I can highly recommend it on BBC4. So what is the essence of your passion, of your love for gardening? What is it that makes it so attractive to you?
My job was forester. So I lived in this world of plants, of trees, and so it's a long time I'd like to have a garden. For me, living in an apartment could be impossible. Really could be impossible.
Would be impossible.
Would be impossible.
Yes.
And it's important for me to have a garden. Yes.
To be outside. And what does it... Yes, let me just explain. A forester... well, you could say it better in French, but you worked for the National Forest Institute of France. Yes, and okay, and so you were very attracted to vegetation in general. And so what is it that makes it impossible to live in an apartment and not being outdoors? Could you try to define, describe what it is?
I'm built like that. I need to be outside. I had my job. In my job, I was outside half time in the office, half time outside in forests, and for me, I can't live if I'm not outside a long time in my week.
Mm-hmm. I saw that when we were waiting for this radio show to begin, we were in the garden of Radio Grand Lac, and you saw that they had planted. Could you tell me what they planted?
They planted a spruce.
A white spruce, you said, right?
Yes, and it's surprising for me.
Jean-Pierre isn't listening, but we can tell him about it on the off time. Why is it surprising to you that they plant a white spruce?
Because of global change and
climate change.
Climate change, yes. The spruce is typically a high mountain tree, and to plant it in the plain, I think it's an error.
Okay.
We made it a very long time during the 20th century.
In the 20th century,
In the 20th century, in France, in Germany,
they planted
everywhere.
spruces because a spruce is an epicea. Is that it?
Epicea. It had a very. It was growing very rapidly. It was a miracle for foresters during the 20th century.
A good source of wood for the wood
yes.
lumber industry.
But a lot of critics because of the landscapes becoming very, very bad and very
monotonous, perhaps.
Monotonous, yes.
And it also acidifies the soil. It makes it more acid, right?
Also.
Yes. And that makes it for other trees and plants to grow. It makes it harder for other plants to grow. They seem to take over when there are some spruces. Then there are no other trees.
Ah, yes. And now with climate change, spruce for me and not for me, for foresters, spruce has no place in plain. It's impossible for us to plant spruce in plain, but only in
the mountains
and high mountains.
Do you have some funny or anecdotes about your gardening career? Anything exceptional? Something that touched you while gardening? I don't know. Does anything come to mind? A great experience, a difficult experience?
My dream, such a long time for years and years. My dream was to have a greenhouse, and I didn't want to have a basic one just with plastics, round plastics. And for me, it's uninteresting. So when retired.
When you retired?
When I retired, the first thing I made was to build my own Notre Dame greenhouse to have mine not round like Savoyard little house.
Like a little chalet, yes, and a beauty she is. She when you usually you say it for things in English, but when something is particularly beautiful, like sailors and captains will call their boats a she. I think we can also call your greenhouse a she. A beauty she is. Okay, and have there been any drawbacks, any setbacks, any obstacles, any difficult events that you have encountered in your gardening career?
The first year I planted inside the greenhouse, I was like a child discovering so much new things.
So many new things.
It's so different inside a greenhouse and outside.
Because it's much warmer.
It's much warmer. You have to take care for water. You
have to water more.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And because it doesn't rain outside. It doesn't rain in the greenhouse.
No.
Yes.
No. So you have to
bring the water. Yes.
To
water yourself.
And it's growing so rapidly. I have tomatoes at the end of June, and outside it's impossible. You can't.
And somebody told me that the rays, the ultraviolet rays, do not cross glass. That you have to use plastic, because if you have a glass greenhouse, you won't have the right frequencies of rays, and it won't have your plants grow in a proper way. Can you refute or confirm that? What do you think?
The growing is different?
Yes, I've been told that you shouldn't have glass greenhouses because the rays don't have the right ultraviolet waves to them.
I don't observe
It's not a problem?
It's not a problem for me.
Okay.
I didn't notice it.
Knowing your garden, I know you had a fig tree that isn't it a fig tree? The tree that died and fell down. What was the fruit tree that fell down? Was it a fig or a cherry tree? A cherry tree, perhaps.
Cherry tree, yes.
So that was a drawback you had. Your cherry tree, it fell down, but then it still had a harvest of cherries that very year. It still continued to produce cherries. Is that correct? Wasn't there something like that?
Just 1 year.
Just for a year.
1 year, because it was a very, very big cherry tree with 4 very big branches, and with storms. Each year I had a branch falling down.
Every year a branch falls down.
Every year.
Yes. We have a prune tree that it does the same. Every year, every time there's a storm, a branch falls down, and it basically has one branch left.
But it was really very old and very, very big branches, so it was the end of his life. And 1 year, the storm was during June, and so it
was in June.
It was very easy to have the cherry.
Yes, because you didn't have to climb a ladder to get to the cherries. It was on the ground.
And I tried next year, but I had some, but not very much.
Because the tree was already on the ground, but it was still connected to its roots.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we finish, Xavier? Something that you were dying to say about gardening? Take your time to...
For me, gardening is also a topic I like to
address
when traveling. I like to go to see Kew Gardens in London. Kew Gardens in London are really very fantastic.
Oh yeah, the landscapes in England are magnificent.
And when traveling, when hiking, I just look on the walls in the gardens.
Over the walls
in the gardens to see what people
are growing, their vegetable patches.
Yes.
Are they ahead of my garden or not? Yes,
and it's very interesting. Well, how do they do? What do they make growing and so on?
What do they grow here? Yes, that's great. And you're also a traveler, so isn't that a frustrating part of being a gardener? Because I know people who are like a slave to their garden. They don't even travel anymore because they love their garden so much. So is it sometimes, how do you say, conflictual, those two passions of yours, traveling and gardening?
Yes, I have to accept that when traveling, the garden is not is alone, and when becoming soon after, there is a lot of work.
Some catching up to do. Yes, because gardening is also a very down-to-earth activity and also a very ecological gesture. I think it's one of the first things we can do if we have, if we have a balcony at least. What do you think about the ecological side of gardening? Is it important to have one's own vegetable patch? Do you think it's an ecological?
For me, the vegetables I produce, I've just to go in my garden to have them. No truck, no train, no gasoline, no transport to have them. So it's interesting also for this.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Xavier. Je repasse en français aussi pour faire un appel à d'autres invités. Si vous voulez être vous-même ici, parler de votre passion avec moi en anglais, n'ayez pas peur. Il suffit de parler comme Xavier. Voilà, donc osez nous contacter à yourlanguageworkshop.com. Il y a le contact ou bien la radio, éventuellement, Radio Grand Lac, qui vous donneront nos coordonnées. Merci beaucoup. La semaine prochaine, on se retrouve à mardi sur 92.1 à 12h05, comme toutes les semaines en période scolaire, pour encore un entretien avec une personnalité locale qui parle de sa passion. Thank you very much, Xavier, once again.
Bye-bye.
And see you next week.
Radio Grand Lac, on adore.